So I think the best thing to do is to start off by introducing yourself and telling me what your business is.
Yeah, I'm Heike Schimanski, and I'm an accredited trauma-informed life coach and certified NLP practitioner, and a couple of other things that I always not name.
How long have you been doing that for?
For a couple of years, but the trauma-informed life coach or the trauma-informed accreditation only came at the end of last month, actually, because I was studying for it. So yeah, thank you.
That's amazing. What was it that you were doing before you started that then?
I had a life coach and the NLP practitioner and positive psychology practitioner, and yeah.
So you were doing all of that before?
Yes.
Right.
That the trauma-informed is just an addition, because I have CPTSD myself, and the whole topic of the trauma and how it affects us is incredibly fascinating for myself, and also I live with it, so I know what the repercussions are.
So it gave you an opportunity to understand what you were dealing with as well, and then able to help that on with other people.
Yes, because it does impact how we learn, how we act, how we do not perceive things as others do, especially when you constantly ask yourself, why isn't this working? I'm doing everything I can. Usually, or in many cases, there is trauma underlying, long-term trauma that changed the brain structure. And you're operating not from the cognitive mind, but from your nervous system. And everything, when it comes from the nervous system, is just about survival. And cognitive functions, you understand how it works, but it just doesn't work. And that's because the nervous system is interfering all the time.
So you must come across a lot of groundbreaking moments for people that must be, you know, it must be an emotional time for them, but also maybe a relief as well, that they suddenly can piece things together a bit better of why they continue to follow the same patterns.
Yes. One of the first things when you understand something, why something is happening, you already take away some of the pressure. And as soon as you understand a mechanic, like when we learned how to drive a car, it was this huge metal thing, and you sat behind the steering wheel, and it was like, and what if I do something wrong? And then all of a sudden it became, you understood, okay, when I press the gas pedal, accelerator, you suddenly accelerate, of course, and you learned the mechanics, you understood how it works. And then you lost your fear. Well, most of us do. And then you just drive. And the same goes for understanding what's holding you back, understanding what's not working inside you because of something. And then you get the tools to work around it, work with it, or even get tools from a therapist, for example, to actually dissolve it completely. Because it can be, I don't want to use healed, but it's the most common word. You can heal trauma. But the understanding, that is what's important to have. And how to work with it, how to navigate it, and how it impacts you in daily life.
I mean, I find that absolutely fascinating, and it must be for the people involved actually doing it from themselves, and for you to, you know, to kind of watch that process and help them overcome what they've been going through. Do you, with that though, do you end up absorbing some of I always think of counselling, for example, they must go home exhausted with just taking all that in. So it must be a very demanding of your energy and your brain, you know, for...
It is, but that's when you have peer support. That's when you have other support. And one of the key aspects with me is I don't do therapy. It can feel like it, yes, but I can say, okay, think of something. You don't need to tell me. and just tell me how it feels, or just tell me what is going on within you and your body especially, and then offer a solution, offer a different path to deal with something, like the flight state. When you are in it, you're exaggerated, you're aggravated, and I have the tools to calm this down, to induce a better state that brings you back to a cognitive thinking.
Yeah.
And the same goes for the freeze or fawn state. When you're in it, no meditation would be the worst you can do. So when you are this paralyzed because something all of a sudden hits you, because you were just talking about something normal and suddenly the trauma kicks in, there are somatic exercises that are dead simple, but that bring you back to your body, bring you back to awareness of yourself and your surroundings. So there are different things that I can identify and see, not only because I learned about it, but because I know it from my own experience, where I can help navigate this without having to do therapy.
Yeah.
And then lead to, okay, and here's the coaching thing that we can do. And it's a more thoughtful and deeper process, I would say, than normal standard coaching.
No, I think that's amazing. And I've only actually just not that long ago found out that my brother and I have always said we have no fight or flight. There's something that, like, something can happen, a noise, with no reaction whatsoever. We thought we were like superhuman. My other brothers, he got all of it. he's got a lot. But we both were like, no, I don't react to things. I don't. And then I heard about the freeze side of things, and to me, freeze, it makes me think of the rabbit in the headlights, but it never felt like that. It never felt like that. I could associate that because it's not a fear of, oh, I don't know what to do here. It's just a complacency. But apparently that is still freeze. It's your body going into a state of, well, what can you do?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's actually one of the 6 states of the nervous system where you go actually into this paralysis, where you shut down. And for example, I was always, I don't know why, I was always in really, really dangerous situations. I got extremely calm. I got really calmed, and something happened that I was able to navigate it clear as day. Like on the Autobahn back in Germany, one of my front tires burst completely. There was nothing left of the tire when I was with 120 kilometers power.
Wow.
On the left side, so on the furthest lane from where I need to go. And so I remember how calm I suddenly went and pulled over and did all the stuff, went home, and the moment I saw my dad, I was breaking down. And then at Christmas, my sister set our party room on fire. And I was, again, calming down whilst she was completely frozen.
Yeah.
She could do nothing. And I was there and doused the fire. Doused the fire, then got out, then called for my dad because he was a fireman. And as soon as I saw him, then I broke down because he was there. But it is so fascinating to see how our nervous system reacts and how individual it is to every single person. And it always displays in the root is always the same, but it displays in completely different varieties, as you see with your brothers, and your brother and you being in the freeze state, and they are reacting as the fight and flight. And
I find it fascinating, just the dynamic of the three of us. We've got such a close relationship, such similar upbringing. Obviously we'll all have a different perspective of things with it, but to have the three kind of different ways of handling anything is amazing. So how is this always something that you've wanted to go into? What, I'll strip it back even further actually. What did you want to be when you grew up? What was your thing?
I wanted to be a paleontologist or a solicitor.
Quite different, yep.
Yeah. But paleontologist was what I wanted to be. And because my upbringing was really nothing nice, I was not allowed to study. And so I had to make do with what I was given and the opportunities I was forced into opportunities. And so that was the actual passion. Even today, when I see dinosaurs and dragons, I'm like, like a little girl at Christmas. But I also was always fascinated with the brain. I just didn't know how to do it because, you know, you grow up, you learn a profession, you are being forced into a 9-to-5. Yeah. And in Germany, once you learn something, you have to stick with it. It's this weird traditional cultural thing that we have that in my time, because, well, I'm 49, so it's a couple of decades ago now, you were expected to stay where you have been put. And I was never like that. So I had quite a few things that I learned through my life, but one thing was always there, and that was coaching. I didn't know it back then, but from the very first day on, when I was in a job, I ended up in teaching positions, in coaching positions, in mentoring positions, because I always brought something or had an understanding of processes that came so easy to me that I was then set up to teach others. And when I went into business, first as something completely different, a couple of people told me, you have to be a coach. Go and be a coach. And then I started to do the NLP training. Then I started to do the life coach training and everything else that I have now added up. And it's long not done.
Oh, you've still got a lot you're wanting to continue with then. Are you a serial learner?
Aye, absolutely. I have Jungian architects, Jungian archetypes right now, Gestalt therapy, which caught my attention the instant I read about it a couple of years ago. Hypnotherapy, then relationship dynamics, mindfulness. I am a meditation teacher, but want to also have my certification for that. And so, yeah, I will never be done learning, because it's just, I love learning. I love all these new insights. And also for me, everything I do connects somehow. I always see a connection to what I've done in the past, what I can use now, and how these relate. And that is one of my favorite things, actually, when I see like, oh, I know this because that and that happened then. And
I know you must be the most well put together person, like you just must be like, I understand how I'm feeling now and be able to solve.
I wish. You know, I'm great at teaching others, coaching others, mentoring others, but sometimes when it comes down to myself, it's like
you're the last one to think about yourself. Sorry, carry on.
No, go on.
So what since setting off and doing your own thing, then what's been the biggest surprise or of setting up your own business and doing this on your own rather than going down the route of what you were supposed to do? You know, and if you've come from that kind of side of it, is there anything that's
it still is for me the self-development part, because I was self-developing already for a couple of, well, around 1.5 decades, because because of where I come from. And I didn't want to be like my mother. I wanted to get rid of the terrible patterns I grew up with and thought were normal.
Yeah.
And so my self-development journey was there. And the moment I went self-employed, it was suddenly like, yeah, now you self-develop in this way. The sudden change of not being in a 9-to-5 anymore, and everything that comes with having to be a business owner, and you are trying to navigate, you're navigating also all the false prophets that only want your money in the beginning, and you're being left with nothing because they are just the predators. All this stuff, and all of a sudden you notice how much you are standing in your own way. How much you have been trained to think 9-to-5. I still do it. I still catch myself doing, having this thinking of kind of the KPI thinking.
Yes.
And it's like, no, you don't need to do this anymore. Stop it.
You know, for me, it was more behavior. It was if you've spent so much time having to clock in at a certain time, this is when you have your lunch, this is when you leave. And I found myself almost feeling guilty for not working. If it was like 9 o'clock and I'm like, I'm late, and I'm like, I'm late for what? For who? And it still does, even though. So I'm only 4 years into running the business, but I still catch myself almost feeling guilty when I'm not doing something while other people are working.
Yep.
And I don't know if that ever changes, if that ever goes, but hopefully.
I know people, very few, who don't feel guilty anymore. But most of us, I would say, still have it.
Yeah.
It's lessons. It's not as often, but especially when you are not in a good state, when you're stressed and overwhelmed, and when things don't go right, I find myself very often in that old pattern of I'm not working enough, I'm not doing enough. And that pattern also brought me or pushed me into burnout.
Yeah.
Because I worked 60 to 80 hours a week and built my own websites, built this, did this, and, you know, because you have to.
Yeah.
And for me, from the perspective I have now, one of the things that actually doesn't help at all is the general mindset that is there between business owners, that you have to be busy all the time.
Yeah.
And that you have to be available all the time, and that you have to work weekends, and that you have to work through your lunchtime.
Yeah.
And I'm heavily pushing back against that, because no, I don't have to. I have the right to a weekend. And this terrible saying of play hard, work hard.
Yeah.
That is one of the things why we work ourselves into the ground, because we are not actually playing then.
Yeah.
We are working harder and harder and harder and harder with no results, because we don't allow ourselves breathing space.
I also think because we're doing that, we then take, and I say the word failure, but what we perceive as any failures, we take it personally, because it's hard not to. And I've heard a lot of people say, you know, your business isn't you, but if you're dedicating all your energy and time into it, how can that not be you? You know, that, and that's where you feel it's the majority of my friends are in employed roles. All my family are teachers, so they're in very secure. They know exactly what's happening with their jobs and everything. I'm the only weirdo that decided I like a bit of uncertainty. Let's live dangerously. And you know, at the weekend they switch off. At 5 o'clock on a Friday, they switch off. They don't think about it. My friends and I went on holiday for my birthday. They put their out of office on, and it was never even a thought in their heads. Whereas it was all consuming still for me, even though in my head I'm going, right, I'm on holiday, I've earned this. It's still, you're going, but have I got any fires to put out here? But, you know, like in the background, because it all falls on you. So it is a lot of pressure to put on why do we do it? it's that it comes back to why do it's. I think some people are just built for it, but it is a strange. I think we're all psychopaths. That is my definition. That's my.
I'm weird. Yes, let's stick with that. Maybe a little bit. Yeah, okay. Let's roll with it.
We're all just a bunch of psychopaths.
I would say it's actually again down to our nervous system, because your friends are all secure. They feel safe because they have a job. They know when they come back from holiday, the job is still there because someone else takes care of it. For a business owner, especially when you're just one person, you have to be there when something happens. You are your own admin. You are your own, whatever role you are taking on. And when something does not work, we are aware that we won't get money. And when we don't get money, we will lose things.
Yes.
We won't be able to afford food. We won't be able to afford insurances. We won't be able to do anything. And then we might lose, to spin this further, we might lose our house, or in my case, I'm renting. I might be thrown out, homeless. There is a complete chain reaction between the perceived, and I say perceived on purpose, perceived safety of having a 9-to-5 and having a business.
Yeah.
And the perceived safety for a 9-to-5 is only perceived, because in this country, you can be given notice within a day. And then within a week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, you have to find a new job. And if you don't, you're in the same position as a business owner is, who has so much more responsibility.
Yeah.
So it is, and everything that feels unsafe, of course, triggers the nervous system. The nervous system looks for fight, flight, and breathe. And then you're constantly starting to ruminating, overthinking. Those are all these ego-driven, this.
Yeah.
That is nervous system responses.
I'm going to give my nervous system a name, and then I can just be like, hey, calm down, Andrea. I don't know where that name came from, but it came from me.
Mine just said Charlie, so not clue why Charlie, but
well, anyone that's watching this, just right now, tell yourself and come out with what name you come out with. I don't know where Andrea came from. You don't know where Charlie came from, but that is now our alter ego.
I like this.
God, we really are showing up as something wrong with us anyway.
Yeah, we proven maybe the psychopath tendencies now.
We're getting there. So am I right in saying you've got a LinkedIn Live next week?
Yes.
You have. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
It's on the 15th and at 1:00, British summertime. And I'm doing it with Daniel Glide and Willie Nicol, who are fantastic coaches themselves. And we all three work with men.
Yeah.
And the coaching we called it, is based on just talking about the things that men go through and having our three different perspectives. And because for me as a woman, I'm of course coming from another point of view completely.
Yeah.
One thing that sets me apart from many other women is that I was brought up like a man in the sense of I had to provide, I had to make my mother happy, and she was the perpetrator, the abuser in the family. She was the one who demanded to have things fixed and provided and done, and you have no right on your emotions, stop crying or I give you something to cry, all that stuff. And so my dad, he was barely ever there because he was working very hard, and I had to be this masculine role. And I was always throughout my life, the whole pattern is like a big fat red, not thread, but rope.
Mhm.
that is pulling through my whole life, that I was always in this masculine energy, that I always was the fixer, the provider, the doer, everything that I did. So from my emotional perspective, I see men differently because I'm a woman, of course. But from my lived experience, I can relate, not on the full level, but I can relate to men also on a different level. And I've seen what happens to men like my dad, who was a very good man at his core. But I have seen what happens to them when they are under someone like my mother,
Mhm.
who completely disregards him, he was a fireman. He saw things that were soul crushing. And my mother called him weak.
Mm.
She put him down for just being. And that was my driver. When I finally realized that was my driver to say, okay, I help midlife men. And for me, the thing was, because my whole clientele was by 95% men.
Mhm.
From the start on, from the beginning on, since I had my business. And before that, my best clients were all men in my corporate jobs. And my best friend is a male. So there was always something going on. And the perspectives that Willie can deliver, because he's an ex-cop.
Yeah.
The perspective that Daniel can deliver, because he's extremely self-aware. He's a great coach and has a very bubbly energy, which is very in contrast to mine, because I am bubbly, can be, but I'm very introverted.
Mhm.
Nevertheless, and he is like the balance, and I'm looking forward to this so much.
I'm really looking forward to watching it. I think you've got 3 amazing people that are going to all connect in such a really good way on this. And I was speaking to Willie last night about it, and he was talking about how when he first introduced himself as cop to coach, that some people all went, "Oh, that's interesting," and spoke up. And I said, actually, that's not what piqued my interest with you. The first time I ever heard him stand up and introduce who he was, it was because he said, "I help men," and I had not heard that before. I'm surrounded by, and I'm not nothing bad on it, but I'm surrounded with people who are empowering women, trying to get women out. I know a lot of people that are doing that, and I've just never heard someone go, "No, I'm trying to sort like the guys here." And as someone with 2 brothers, we are very close. And they've had so many challenges and expectations for what they're meant to be achieving, that I thought, no, I like that. I like that. So I'm really, really looking forward to listening to you and seeing what. I'm going to see if I can get my brothers to actually look.
I mean, there will be a replay. I think it's always stored on LinkedIn, so he can come back to it. I will definitely to take out snippets, because of course when you're in that thing right now, there's always something that you miss.
Yeah.
Where the gold lies, as a marketing person, you know where you go back and then, oh, that was actually really good. So I'm looking forward to it, because there is so much toxic masculinity around, which I hate with all my being, because it's not only as a woman, but also because it gives you the wrong impression of how you have to be.
Yeah.
And men are always pushed into certain roles. I mean, look at and I know this might sound not connected, but it is deeply connected. Look at the suicide rates of men. Scotland has the highest suicide rate of men.
Yeah.
Over 73%, I think it is, in the UK. And that is because there is, first of all, no real help available. And second, there is this role system of how you have to be as a man. You have to be the provider. You have to do this and do that. And it is too much. The financial stress is too much. It presses everyone down. A man is supposed to provide for his family, but when the finances are going, excuse my language, to shit, it puts so much pressure on you because you feel like a failure. You feel like you didn't stand your man. You couldn't do this and that. And it's just wrong.
Yeah.
Because men are also just humans.
Yeah.
With emotions. And only because
we society thing that
and we know how to ride the dragon because we are being brought up like that.
Yeah.
But men aren't. So what we do is hopefully helpful. And if it only helps one man, then we've done what we came for.
Amazing. And what I'm going to do is with this recording, I'm going to put it up, and Willie's up for, I might actually do one at the end of this week and then one at the start of the next week so that we can promote it as much as we can for people to be there. So we'll get that sorted. I think, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. I think I want to ask you a little engagement question. I don't know if you've had time to think, because I have been putting people on the spot and they've been like, why did you do this to me? So if you could give me 2 truths and a lie, jumble them up, and we'll get to see how many people can guess, how many people know you to know what one is the lie.
I learned sword fighting and archery.
Okay.
I trained as a chef in Germany, and I was a truck driver.
I've got my guess, but I won't let you know until we'll see what the answer is once this all goes up. But
I'm curious about that.
Thank you so much for this. I'll stop the recording just now, but yeah, we'll put links and everything up for your live on LinkedIn for Friday.
Thank you so
for
much.
Wednesday, sorry. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, right. Wednesday. I
was just seeing if you were listening. You weren't. I'll stop just there.
I don't even know what day today. What day is today, because this week is just full.
Oh, I know. You're lucky I know my name. It was Andrea, wasn't it?
Charlie, Andrea, something like that.
Okay, I will.
Okay.